This is Mark with the hat on there in the red. And he has been eating Juice Plus for 15 years. He was a former professional skier. He coached 4 World Cup champions. He was formerly ranked top 100 in the world for Ironman. 70.3. What's 70.3? Is that the total kilometers?
No, that's the half Ironman. I've done both, but I did the World Championships for half.
Are you talking about kilometers? I need miles. Anyways.
That's miles. That's
cycling record holder for the Golden Triangle, and he's currently excited to race across America 3,000 miles in 9 days. When are you doing that, Mark?
I'm trying currently to get in it for 2017 for June.
And when would that be? What month?
June.
And where do you start?
Start in Oceanside, California, and finish in Atlantic City.
Wow, crazy awesome. And what he's most proud of is being a dad to his beautiful daughter. So Mark, why don't you start off and share your story with us, how Juice Plus found you, because it's a pretty funny story.
Yeah, I guess it is. I think most of you guys know my story on the call tonight, but I was fortunate enough that I guess it's almost 16 years ago now that I was my early 20s, mid 20s. I was very, very active. So I was a professional skier. Hey, Jen, Brennan. And I had a lifestyle that put me in a state of fitness, but not in a state of health. And I didn't understand the correlation between fitness and health as a professional athlete until my body started breaking down. So it was one of those things where I was fortunate enough to be introduced to whole food nutrition by accident. And leading up to my introduction to whole food nutrition, I had gone through 2 knee operations. I used to be a competitive runner, so like half marathon, 10Ks, and I would do 5, 6, 7 races a year before my knee operations. But literally I had to choose between, at the age of 27, I had to choose between which activity was going to hurt me the least, right? And obviously skiing was my profession, so I had to choose skiing over everything else. So I cut everything else out of my life, athletic wise, because I just didn't feel that my body was going to hold out enough for me to carry on all of my activities. So I did that. I stopped doing everything else except for skiing. And honestly, I lived off steak and potatoes, and I thought I had it figured out. I was getting my proteins and I was getting my carbohydrates from the potatoes, and I thought that was all good, but I really didn't. I guess I kind of knew in the back of my brain about fruits and vegetables, but it just never clicked with me, because I never had the reason to kind of go, and I did have the reason, but I never had the will to go and start eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. So when I was introduced to this guy named Larry Barnes at a coffee shop, just randomly one day in Canmore where I live, he was a perfect stranger, and we just started chatting in the lineup, waiting for our coffees. And he asked me if I had enough fruits and vegetables in my diet, and I was kind of blown away by that. And it was a weird question coming from a perfect stranger, and I had to think about it for sure. And it kind of threw me back a little bit. So we had a discussion, and I had to, it was a good question, and it was an honest question, so I had to honestly answer it honestly. And the answer was no, I don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. So he shared a tape with me, which was the Dr. Dimitri Ray's tape from Here to Longevity. And I didn't listen to it for a first couple of weeks, but one day when I was driving to Calgary in my car, I said, oh, what the hell, I'll pop it in my cassette player. Most of you don't know what those look like, but we used to have these little cassettes that went in. And anyways, long story short, I listened to the CD and I was like, oh wow. Even half of this information is, as good as she says it is, then I have to try this because it's profound. It's profound information. So I called Larry up actually that night, and he said, okay, well, we can get you signed up on Juice Plus. So I started taking, back then we just had the fruit and vegetable capsules, and I didn't change anything else in my diet. I just added Juice Plus because I was just kind of in the beginning phases of opening up my brain on how whole food nutrition was awesome for you. So I added Juice Plus to my diet, and within 3 weeks, you know what, my knees started feeling like they're coming together, and I was blown away. And I felt like the mechanic was working on tightening up all the nuts and bolts in my knees. And it was pretty profound. And, you know, I had taken so many supplements, you know, as an athlete, we basically go after what the fad is that month or that year. And at that time I was, before Juice Plus, I was on glucosamine. I even tried creatine for like a week, which is really bad for you. And I tried many, many different things, and all of those things really gave me a bad feeling in my body. And I am an intuitive person, and I know what's going on in my body. So I had that going for me. And with all those other products, I was feeling like I could feel certain things happening in my organs. I knew it wasn't a good deal. And so I didn't take them, thankfully, for a long time. And when I got introduced to Juice Plus, it was a total game changer for me. It absolutely changed me. It allowed me at 27 years old to feel like I had my youth back again. And I wasn't even old. I mean, I was only 27. I honestly felt that I was 50 years old before I started taking Juice Plus. And I had to write off certain things in my life. Like I said, I had to pick the exercise that hurt me the least. And to be in that position as a professional athlete at 27 was really bad. So I have that conversation with Larry Barnes in that coffee shop. And the fact that I got on Juice Plus back then 100% changed my life. And to this day, I've taken Juice Plus every day of my life since then, and I absolutely love it. If I had $2 left, and somebody said you have $2 left in your life, what would you take? I said I would spend $1 on my daughter, and I would spend $1 on Juice Plus, because that's how much I love it. Really, 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 truly. So that's kind of my product story in short. And, you know, since recovering and reinventing my body through that whole process, I got back into triathlon. I've done 13 Ironman events and set some cycling records, and I just keep getting better. So I love the fact that I can keep challenging myself at the age of 43 and keep getting better, you know, and it's profound. There's no other product in the world that can do that for your body on a physiological standpoint. So I love it. That's my story. And, you know, I just love it. It's amazing. So
that's awesome, Mark.
Yeah.
You mentioned in your story about creatine and that not being great. Share with us why, from a coaching point of view, from an athlete point of view, because I know a lot of people deal with athletes and they've got, you know, a whole gym bag full of supplements, that being one of them being creatine. Yeah,
no, that's a really good question. So again, I was kind of dumb back then, and I guess I'm still kind of dumb, but those are smart. So I go with fruits and vegetables. So here's the deal with creatine. A lot of protein powders out there, other supplements. If they're not from Mother Nature, they're either isolated or fragmented. And there are components of synthetic man-made products. Okay, so your body can assimilate, maybe, you know, every product's different, but with creatine, for instance, the concentration of creatine that I was taking became so toxic in my liver, and I could actually feel it in I don't know if it was exactly my liver, but I was getting sharp pains and I was getting certain feelings inside my body near my liver that was really a result of taking too much of one thing. And at that time it was creatine. So that was a kind of a big wake up call for me. And same thing with glucosamine. Like my doctor even said, "Oh, take glucosamine because it's good for joint health." And that's total bullshit. It's not, because it's so far away from its natural source. It was synthetic. I was just like, are you kidding me? And actually my knees got worse when I started taking glucosamine. So that was, again, going back to your body and feeling what's happening with your body. That was a big signal for me to stop taking that. So the key to supplementation is to take it in its natural state, in its natural form, what Mother Nature intended it to be. And in my opinion, Juice Plus is the only product that I would recommend to my athletes and myself, the only one I would use personally, because I know exactly what's in it, because it's NSF certified, it's WADA approved, which is the World Anti-Doping Organization. I have the stamp of approval, and I know exactly what I'm taking every single day, you know, and the freedom to have the power behind Juice Plus going into my body every single day is profound, and I know it's doing good things. And another thing I love about Juice Plus, which you can't do with any other products, is, well, I shouldn't say every product. I mean, there's a couple good products out there. I'm kind of a fan of Vega. They have some good products, but we're way better. But getting back to I lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry. Ask me another question. I get all excited.
That's okay. So tell us what happened when you started sharing it with your ski team. You shared this with me before, just about I think it was their times from the beginning of the training and then the last day of training. Yeah,
well, one case in particular, this was actually last year. So I had an athlete that I had actually coached when he was younger. I coached him about 7 years ago, but he's now on the national ski team, and he's actually a World Cup champion. But he won 3 years ago. He won a World Cup, and then his ego kind of took over, and got inflated, and his diet was shit. It was crap. So he was just like, and the thing with athletes, professional athletes, is they travel so much that they don't have the freedom to eat a healthy lifestyle. So he came to me because he knew my program, and last summer he came to me and said, "I want to go on your program." And he was, at that time, he was 15th in dryland testing. So he was at the bottom of the scale for his team. And he was actually on the cusp of getting thrown off the team because of his dryland testing. Aside from his talent, he wasn't physically fit. So the coaches were like, "Dude, you got to get fit, or, because you have to have qualifications to stay on the team." So he came to me. We put him on the Transform 120 program, which is the 4-month program. And I did the actual workout program with him. So I was kind of his partner, and we added Juice Plus. And within 4 months, he went from 15th to number 1 in dryland testing. He was the fittest athlete on the team 4 months later. And he lost, his body composition changed by 16 pounds. So he lost 16 pounds, but he gained 8 pounds of lean muscle mass in that. And his strength went up 35% on his test scores from previous tests. So he was able to increase his lean muscle mass. He reduced his inflammation and the acidity in his blood, which he completely felt, because his recovery went through the roof. Like, his recovery is incredible. And I noticed that too with my own training, that, what used to take me 3 or 4 days to recover from takes me one night. Like, I'll wake up the next day and I'm like, wow, I feel pretty good. And I know some of you can attest to that too, that are physically fit on the call. So it's just a game changer for athletes. And it's a simple way for not only professional athletes, but for the everyday athlete, the gym goers, the cardio attackers, the people that, just love to do certain things like maybe CrossFit or run. You can increase, you're only as good as you can recover. And if you can change the oil in your bloodstream every night, that's what I like to tell people. Like, if you're adding 30 plants at least to your bloodstream every single night, every single day, your body's going to regenerate itself. Your blood's going to stay healthy. You're going to reduce that oxidative stress. And it's like having an oil change in your car every night. So you got fresh oil to run on every morning when you wake up. And that's a pretty cool thing. It's super profound. And I don't know of any other product in the world that can do that for you. So it's pretty amazing, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how would maybe you could offer some tips on how the average person, like not the Olympic coach or the high level athlete themselves, just like the rest of us, how you would recommend sharing it with a high level athlete? How would you approach them?
I always, coming from the layman, which we are, right? Aside from being a coach, I'm a simple layman. I don't have a degree behind my name, specifically like a nutritionist or anything, but I always come from the standpoint of inflammation and recovery. So, and people can kind of grasp the idea of inflammation, because people that aren't on a good plant-based diet are inflamed all the time. That's why they're sore, they're puffy. They damage their muscles through workouts, and they're sore for 2 or 3 days. Okay, that's a byproduct of inflammation. And allowing the body to heal properly just simply by adding a ton of plant nutrients to it, this is where I come from. And it's what we do is we simply open the possibility of something that they've never seen before. or something they'd never heard of before. Okay. And once their brain starts changing, and, you know, for some people, for professional athletes, it might take a little while because they're very stubborn and strong-willed. So you just have to keep dripping on them. And I also love to share the videos. I share short videos with people. Like Dr. David Phillips' video is amazing for athletes. The one where he talks about his journey with Juice Plus and how he calls it a salad bar in a capsule, right? Yeah. That's the best comment. I think one of the best comments I've ever heard about Juice Plus. And that's really what we provide. We provide the best salad bar in a capsule or in shake form. And once athletes see that, and then they understand that they can take this with them on the road, so they don't have to get sick when they're traveling or competing, which most of them do because they're always on airplanes or they're always here or there. And if the one person gets sick on the team, it'll go through the whole team. So we've had a lot of success with that too. I know one of my guys, John Kuchera, who was the world champion actually for downhill skiing. The year he won the world championship, he was the only guy on his ski team that didn't get sick. Okay. And two of his teammates didn't even race that race where he won because they had the flu. And they were sitting over in France in their hotel room when John was out winning that World Cup race, and he became famous. Okay. And they had every chance of winning that race just like he did, but they were sitting in bed from the flu. So the power that you have to give people just simply from Mother Nature, from Juice Plus and what we have to offer is incredible. So I like to keep it simple. Don't try to be a professional when you're talking about Juice Plus, because we don't have to be professional. That's why we have the research. Okay. So you can guide them to certain things, and you could lead the conversations into certain things that you're not professional at, but our research shows. And that's what I like to do with when I talk with athletes.
Awesome.
And with normal people.
And what kind of questions could you ask an athlete, sort of to open it up? Like you mentioned, how they beat themselves up, right? Their muscles are sore. So what are some good layman questions to ask an athlete that an athlete would relate to? That
I like to go after the conversation of animal proteins versus plant proteins, because I know most athletes, probably 90% of athletes, do not take plant proteins. They take animal proteins. So either whey or casein protein. So I just ask them what type of protein they're taking, and they'll either say whey or casein. And then I'll say, have you ever looked at the research behind whey or casein protein? Do you know what it's doing in your body? And then every time they say, well, it's helped me build muscle. And then I just get into the conversation of inflammation, right? And then here's one thing I do say about that is I ask them, do you understand where whey protein comes from, where it's derived from? And they'll 9 times out of 10 they'll say, well, not really. It's a dairy product, I guess. And then I say, well, it's a byproduct. It's a sludge that comes off of cheese production. When they make cheese, there's this big sludge that comes off of it, and they dehydrate that sludge into whey protein powders. And then they put a whole bunch of additives and fillers into it, right, to make it taste good. And then that they give it to you. So, you know, if you're comfortable with taking all of those antibiotics, highly inflammatory, highly acidic, you know, that's cool, right? But I have another option for you that would be non-inflammatory, right? It's going to help you recover way faster, and it tastes good, and it's plant-based. So, you know, would you consider having a look at it? And then I speak from my experience, and it's good to speak from your experience. And one thing I love to encourage people is to, like, if you're going to be out there sharing Juice Plus with people, you need to be a product of the product, right? You have to. I mean, if you're trying to get people on Transform 120, you got to do Transform 120, and you got to do it all out. You got to do it full out. And, you know, the greater the challenge, the greater the change. And that's what I like to get out of people, right? So, and you guys on the call, if you haven't done Transform 120, if you haven't experienced the benefits of 2 shakes a day, cutting out gluten and dairy, and adding the capsules and drinking a ton of water, I would suggest that you do that. You know, if that's the kind of the scenario that you want to approach with your clients and with your customer base, because you have to be a product of the product. And when you talk to somebody, and if you haven't done what you're talking about, or you don't believe in it fully, or you don't understand it fully, they're going to see through you so freaking fast, and they're going to be like, they've already made up their mind before you even close that conversation. They'll be like, this person is just trying to sell me something. They don't genuinely care for me. They're just trying to sell me something. Right. So you have to be a product of the product. You have to, live with purpose, on purpose, and be that person, be that model for what you're trying to share with the world. Right, Mel?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so true. Product of the product.
Yeah.
About recovery, Mark.
Yeah.
Being a high-level athlete yourself, talk about how long it takes an athlete to actually recover to be feeling 100% after they've been sick. Like if they get hit with the flu or, just a bad cold. It's so different than the average person. We feel better, but it's so different for an athlete. So can you touch on that?
Like in terms of time?
Yeah. So how much time is lost due to sickness? And as I said before, they're 100% ready to go again.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's hard to answer that question because everybody's different. But what I will say is that athletes, as you guys know, the more fuel that you burn, so the more exercise that you induce, the more damage that you're doing to your body at a cellular level. So you have more oxidative stress, which creates more free radical damage. So if an athlete is to get sick, if you compare it to a regular person, already that athlete has a higher rate of free radical damage. So it's going to take them a little bit longer probably to get healthier from that illness, because their body has already been compromised more from the oxidative stress, right?
Yeah.
So that's where Juice Plus comes in. So if you can balance the immune system, balance the free radicals and the oxidative stress in the body, in the blood, at a cellular level, which we know Juice Plus has been proven to do through research, that puts an athlete, even an elite athlete, on par with an extremely healthy person. Okay, because they're going to recover as quickly if their body, the composition of their plant chemicals in their blood is the same as a regular person. So it's all about how much plant chemicals you get into your body. And yes, athletes are compromised way more than the regular person because they burn way more fuel. So they have and they're more susceptible to getting those illnesses as well, because their bodies are constantly trying to get to a state of homeostasis, right? Of balance, because they're hitting it every single day. It's like boom, boom, boom with all this exercise-induced oxidative stress. So it's like, the more they do that, the more they're at risk for getting illness or sick or breaking down. And I just did a talk the other day. Most athletes don't realize that they're unhealthy until something breaks down, till that moment, right? Where something goes pop or snap, right? And then they're like, oh, shoot. Like I'm injured. Like I just blew my knee, or I blew my calf, or my ACL, or whatever it is, right? Then it's too late. So it's like preventative nutrition for athletes is massive. It's totally massive. So fuel, perform, recover before you get injured, before you get sick is huge. It's key for sure. 100%.
Awesome. So let's switch over to your business journey with Juice Plus. It's been 15 years since I guess you started, and I won't say anything. You share it all.
Yeah, well, I have a pretty different story, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of national marketing directors in our company that have gone within 3 to 5 years, even less, have gone to the top. I mean, I think it took you 2.5 or 3 years, right, Mel, to hit NMD?
A little longer, 5 with a year break.
Okay. So average is like 3 to 5 years type of thing, right? And so it took me 15 years. And some would say, well, what the hell happened? Where did you go? And I started out out of the gate really good. And we only had the 2-packs when I started. And I didn't even know what I was doing. My patrons used to call me ignorance on fire, because I was just kind of going out and sharing my passion with people. I had no idea what network marketing was all about. I got lucky because Juice Plus was the first business that I was ever introduced to that was in the network marketing realm. So I got lucky, thank God. But I was ignorance on fire. I was just going out and sharing all my passion with people because of my story. And it's the same today as it was 15 years ago. We build our business off of our personal story and our passion. And that's what it's all based off of. And that's why it works so well. So I did that 15 years ago. I made it to senior sales coordinator, and I think I did it in 10. I actually did it in 10 weeks back then, selling the 2-packs, and I was the fastest growing rep, and the youngest guy in the company 15 years ago. And then I had a couple things happen in my life. My very first customer, my very first rep, who was my best friend, we were training for Ironman, and he was hit by a car and he was killed on his bike. So that really just flattened me, and just a series of events after that kind of took me out of the business. But the good news here is that I was still in a position of a senior sales coordinator level. So I was getting a paycheck every month, even though I went on for, I guess it was years. I would come in and out back in and go out of the business kind of randomly over the years. But I was still getting a paycheck every month. And then 2 years ago, I really came to a point where I love Juice Plus so much, and I love the people. They're like my family. And I came to a point in my life where I was like, what am I doing? And I had to like clearly look at myself in the mirror and ask myself what I was worth and where I wanted to take my journey. And the only answer I could come up with was Juice Plus, because it's unlimited income. It's unlimited freedom once you create what you want to create. And health wise, you're connected to a company that is focused around health, which is what I'm super passionate about. So why would I want to do anything else other than inspire healthy living around the world? Right. And it just made sense to me. So I put my feet in the ground 2 years ago. I made a declaration to myself, and that's what made the difference for me 2 years ago. Once I declared to myself that this is what I wanted to do, then my business just unfolded for me in front of me, because I was not going to take failure was not an option. And it just was like anything I did was like, I don't care if I got no's. I didn't care. I was like, I'm going for it. And I knew that I was going to make it. I was fortunate enough to create a lot of momentum 2 years ago. And so I took my business basically from, $1,000 a month 2 years ago to $50,000 a month in 10 months. So, once I got serious about getting serious, then stuff started showing up. But it took my declaration, and the philosophy of my beliefs had to be topped up, because I wasn't connected to them before. And once I started connecting to those philosophy of beliefs, then everything started to fall in place. So yeah, I had a good journey. I made it to national marketing director, and it was the best thing that had ever happened to me. It was my dream, actually. I never let go of that dream of making it to the top level of our company. I just didn't know how I fit into that picture until 2 years ago. And then I just decided, doesn't matter. Come hell or high water, I was going to make it happen. And that's what I did. So that's kind of my business journey. And it's been fun. It's not easy. It's a lot of hard work. If you treat this like a business, it'll, eventually pay you like a business. But in the beginning, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of legwork. And I like to tell people, like, in the beginning, what you're doing is you're writing IOUs to yourself, right? So you're putting in a lot of time in the beginning of your business to create this momentum, to create this team and network. And if I had to quit after that 15 years, I wouldn't never have been able to cash in on those IOUs. All that time I spent 15 years ago would have been for nothing monetarily, because I wouldn't have cashed in on it. So write those IOUs to yourself, but it's important to see those IOUs through, right? And to make them count for something. And that's super important.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any questions? Just unmute yourself and ask away. Anyone at all?
Awesome. Maybe they're scared of me.
Maybe. Maybe some tips, Mark. Like, what does a typical day look like for you, your daily method of operation? We talk about that all the time. And you also have a full-time job still, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, after my ski career, I got into, I was a contractor. So I was contracting business in the roofing field. So, and I worked on the tools every day. I wasn't one of those contractors that just had 30 guys working for him. So, I mean, I was trading time for money for a long time. And that's what brought me to the point of working smarter, not harder eventually, right? But I think today we have so much more opportunity to expand quickly And the one thing that I love to use, and it's kind of new to the market, is Facebook Live. I do probably at least three or four trainings with my teams every day on Facebook Live. Because I live in Alberta, but I have teams all over Canada right now. And it's like, how do I connect with them every day? And it really is about consistency and keeping a consistent effort happening and a consistent vibe and a consistent culture, right? There's a lot of culture connected to our business. So Facebook is an amazing way to keep that culture going, like and Zoom is great. So the social media aspect of our business is so awesome right now. And we can utilize that so well to really fast track there's people making NMD and like so fast now, and it's because they're just exploding through social media. But it is important in saying the social media explosion creates a lot of momentum, but you still want to create those face-to-face, belly-to-belly relationships with people, because that's really what's going to sustain your business and carry you through the good times and the bad times, is those personal relationships. So if you guys are like all over social media, don't be afraid to step out of your box. Like if you're stepping out of your box going on Facebook Live, step out of your box and go talk to people face to face that you don't know. Talk to, like we call it cold market. Go and talk to people that you don't know. Like challenge yourself to be better. And the thing I love about this business is it forces you to be the best version of yourself that you can be, right? And if you're going into conversations and you're not the best version of yourself, through authenticity and being genuine, then that conversation probably isn't going to go that well. So work on your philosophy of beliefs, what you believe in, and then once you have that great understanding of where you are with your beliefs, then you just simply share that with people every single day and share it with passion, right? That's what people connect to. They really connect to that energy, that vibration. I love the vibration. The fifth law of attraction is the law of vibration, right? That's probably the most powerful thing that we have in our business going for us, is the law of vibration, because we have this incredible, vibrational energy to our business and to our teams and to it's just awesome. So go after social media, but don't be afraid to go after the one-on-one personal relationships and build trust with people. Build trust. That's what we get paid to do. We get paid to build trusting, loving relationships with people.
That's great. One last question, Mark.
Yeah.
Personal development. What's a tool or something you recommend?
Like as far as books are concerned, or like just day to day?
Anything at all. What? Yeah.
No, that's a good question. So, affirmations are really big. And I know you guys, Nicole and yourself, we have this thing with affirmations that we do every morning, and what you say and what you infuse into your own spirit is what usually shows up. So affirmations are great. So writing things down of what you're going to do that day, how you're going to feel, how you're going to share. Those are all amazing things. I think I'm a big fan of reading, books. Over some of my favorite books are The Four Agreements is one of the great books that I love. I'm more heart-centered, so I like to feel emotional connection with books, and that's how I share it with my business with people. And really, kind of the determining point in my business is when I actually woke up one morning, and I did this overnight. I woke up, and the story, Mel, but I looked at myself in the mirror and asked myself a whole bunch of questions, right? And I hadn't done that for a long time. I don't know if I've ever done that, actually. But for some reason this day I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I looked in my eyes and I got into my own soul and I asked myself what I wanted out of life. And when you can do that and you honestly answer those questions, that's what took me over the precipice of just diving in and really surrendering. I think the word surrender is a very powerful word if it's used properly, because a lot of what we do is surrendering to allowing the world to come to us, right? And allowing us to come to the world with no anxiety, no connection to outcome, right? Just pure love, right? I like when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I share the love for it. I share the love for a living. That's how I answer that question. I don't tell them I share fruits and vegetables for a living. I tell them I get paid to share love with people. And then they say, well, what does that mean? And then I say, well, I share this awesome thing, called Juice Plus, and it's amazing. It's changed my life. And that's the beginning of every conversation with strangers. So figure out how you connect with people and what resonates with you, what you're comfortable with, but always challenge yourself to kind of break open that box too, right? As far when you're challenging yourself, don't be happy with status quo, because status quo typically doesn't challenge you enough to get you to where you probably want to go. So be brave enough to challenge yourself, to get after it.
That's awesome, Mark. Awesome information and sharing. Last chance. Anyone else have any questions? Or forever hold your peace? Or Facebook message Mark?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I'm always available, guys, on Facebook. So if you're not comfortable in this forum, you can instant message me for any questions regarding athletes or anything you guys have. So I would love to help you out. So, and thank you so much, Mel. And I have to say this too. I just have to give Mel and Nicole Scott a huge shout out, because when I decided to come back in 2 years ago, they kind of adopted me as their little sidekick, and we did we did events after event after event after event, right? And it was awesome. And we created a movement a couple years ago, and you guys had already created that movement. I just joined in it, but I just thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for including me, and I will always remember that and love you for it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome sidelines. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. And since it's 9:38, guys, we will just say good night. Have an awesome sleep and good rest of the week. And go out and share the love, as Mark says. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Talk soon.
Take care.